Tired of staring at screens?
Let audioread.com turn your reading list into a private podcast.
With just 2 clicks, convert articles, PDFs, emails, or any text into audio you can stream in Apple Podcast, Spotify, or YouTube Podcast.
Perfect for multitaskers, podcast lovers, and productivity pros. Use the web app, browser extension, iOS shortcut, or Android PWA to listen anywhere. No installation required.
Highlight, upload, or forward content, and Audio Read does the rest.
audioread.com, or find the link in the show notes.
Hi, I'm William,
And I'm Kat,
and that makes this Info on the Go.
answering questions you want to know.
So, Kat, this is from a listener. Kat, this is a listener request, and it's from somebody named Katie, and they asked that we only use their first name, not their last name, and I'm okay with that.
That's fair. And yeah, she asked us about the health risks.
But we kind of have to go back in time to when, how, and where it all came from, right?
Right. And so we're calling this one Vaping, Innovation, Risks, and Public Health Response.
Vaping is the act of inhaling and exhaling a vapor-like aerosol produced by an electric device known as a vape, e-cigarette, or vaporizer.
Unlike traditional cigarettes, which burn tobacco to create smoke, these devices heat a liquid called e-liquid or vape juice to create an aerosol that users inhale into their lungs.
Yeah. So this e-liquid, it typically contains
Nicotine, the addictive chemical found in tobacco.
flavorings ranging from fruit and candy to more exotic or dessert-inspired flavors. I don't know about that. I don't vape those, so I don't know.
I don't really like sweet flavors. Yeah, I'm gonna
Okay.
be honest. But we have recently fallen back off the wagon, but we were doing really good for about 6 months.
Well, I smoked for 20 years, and it took, when I tell you I quit 1,000 times, I quit 1,000 times.
Okay, well, that makes me feel a little better. We were good for about 6 months.
Yeah.
Base liquids such as propylene glycol, or PG, and vegetable glycerin, VG, which help produce the vapor.
This device itself usually includes a battery, often rechargeable, some type of heating element or coil, and a cartridge or tank to hold all the e-liquid.
Vaping mimics the sensory experience of smoking, but doesn't involve combustion, which led to its marketing as a safer alternative to traditional cigarettes.
However, the process still introduces foreign substance into the lungs. This sparks ongoing concern among health experts.
It's used by some as smoking cessation tool, teens and young adults drawn by flavors and sleek tech designs, and cannabis users via devices tailored for THC oil or concentrates.
Vaping experienced an immense rise in popularity during the 2010s, particularly among teenagers and young adults. Marketing.
Yeah. A sleek product designs, high-tech appeal, and a vast array of sweet or fruity flavors made e-cigarettes feel more like a lifestyle accessory than nicotine delivery systems.
Brands like JUUL revolutionized the market with compact devices and marketing campaigns that resonated with younger demographic, often featuring vibrant visuals, influencer endorsements, and youth-targeted messaging. Yeah, advertising.
Social media also played a massive role. Vaping trends, challenges, and aesthetic vape tricks spread rapidly across platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube.
Yeah, I remember those.
I can do those.
With minimum stigma compared to traditional smoking and easier access, whether through retail loopholes or social circles. Many first time users turn to vaping, skipping cigarettes entirely. There is a stigma when someone's smoking versus someone vaping. But personally, I and I'm an ex-smoker. I get it. I don't care to be around either one. I would say don't try either one of these if you've
Right,
never
no,
done it.
same, because it's really hard to get rid of.
Yeah.
It's one of those like, I can get rid of it anytime. Yeah, they all say that. Okay, we all say that.
Yeah, no, I quit like I said, I quit 1,000 times before I quit once.
As vaping grew more widespread, health experts and policymakers began sounding the alarm.
What began as a harm reduction tool for adult smokers turned into a youth-driven phenomenon with addiction risk, respiratory concerns, and unclear long-term consequences.
Nicotine dependency became a central concern, especially since adolescent brains are still developing and more susceptible to addictive substances.
Public health organizations, including the CDC and WHO, which is the World Health Organization, shifted their messaging to confront the issue head on.
Hmm. Governments began launching awareness campaigns, implementing stricter regulations like flavor bans and age restrictions, and pushing for further research.
So the conversation evolved from one about personal choice to a broader social concern, balancing adult harm reduction and focusing on protecting younger generations from a new wave of addiction.
In 1963, Herbert A. Gilbert filed a patent for what he called a smokeless non tobacco cigarette, a groundbreaking idea that would later be recognized as the first electronic cigarette.
Unlike traditional cigarettes, Gilbert's device didn't burn tobacco.
Instead, it used a battery powered heating element to warm a flavored, moist substance, producing a vapor that could be inhaled.
This allowed users to simulate the experience of smoking without the harmful smoke and tar associated with combustion. I think that's the one thing that smoke itself on the lungs, but then again, we're going to get into the nicotine part of it, but yeah,
Right.
it's some bad stuff.
The design included a cartridge for a flavored liquid and a mechanism for drawing air through the device to create vapor.
Gilbert's goal was to offer a cleaner, safer alternative to tobacco smoking at a time when the health risk of cigarettes were only beginning to be understood.
Although the patent was granted in 1965, his invention was never brought to market, likely due to the dominance of big tobacco companies, limited consumer awareness, and technological limitations of the era.
I think I think somewhere down the line we're gonna have to do one on like big tobacco and cigarettes somewhere.
Mhm.
Still, Gilbert's idea was decades ahead of its time, laying the foundation for the modern vaping industry.
For sure. Fast forward to the early 2000s, Chinese pharmacist Hon Lik developed what is widely considered the first viable electronic cigarette, launching the modern vaping industry.
Think about this. So it was patented in 1965. That's considered the first e-cigarette. So it took 35 years later,
Right,
to really kind of get away from big tobacco.
right, exactly.
His design was built on the foundational concept introduced by Herbert A. Gilbert, incorporated new technology that made it commercially practical.
Hon Lik's e-cigarette used a small lithium battery to power an ultrasonic atomizer, which later evolved into a heating coil.
This component heated a liquid solution containing nicotine, flavorings, and a base like propylene glycol or vegetable glycerin into a fine vapor that users could inhale.
The device was activated by either a button or through an automatic sensor triggered by inhalation.
Unlike earlier concepts, Han Lik's version delivered a satisfying nicotine hit without combustion, smoke, or ash. Introduced to the Chinese market in 2004 by the company Rayon. Is that how you say that, or is that Rayon? What
I
would
would
you
say
say?
I would say Ruyan.
Ruan?
Ruyan.
Okay. His invention quickly gained global traction, sparking a new era of smoking alternatives.
Uh, Propylene glycol or PG is a synthetic odorless and colorless liquid.
It's found in many everyday products like asthma inhalers, cosmetics, and food as a preservative or moisture retainer.
And vegetable glycerin, VG. It's a natural, thick, sweet tasting liquid derived from vegetable oils like soy, coconut, or palm. Now, more on these two later.
Between 2007 and 2015, vaping burst out onto the scene in Western markets as a bold, tech savvy alternative to traditional smoking.
Early devices like vape pens, cigalikes, and tank systems weren't just trendy gadgets. They were marketed as tools for quitting cigarettes.
Brands leaned hard into the message of harm reduction, promoting the fact that e-cigarettes delivered nicotine without the tar, smoke, or carbon monoxide that make traditional cigarettes so dangerous. I can see where how they can push the health benefits of this,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, there's really not a whole lot of study to back up what they're talking about. But
Right.
the smoke from cigarettes, I would agree, is probably 10 times more harmful than e-cigarettes, or is it?
I guess we're going to find out. This approach synced perfectly with growing public health discussions around finding safer ways to reduce smoking related harm.
Vape products quickly gained traction in vape shops, convenience stores, and online, offering an accessible and often more affordable option than smoking.
One of the most attractive features?
It's customizable nicotine levels, right?
Smokers could gradually step down their nicotine intake, giving them more control over their quit journey.
For many, vaping didn't just look like the future, it felt like a lifeline. You know how I finally quit?
Hmm.
I just one day laid them down and said, you know what, forget it, I'm not doing this no more. And I got a pack of gum. It had just came out. It was the pure white gum in
Oh,
the
yeah.
little container. I was probably chewing two of those a day. I would chew so much that my jaws would hurt.
I'm about there, man. I gotta tell you, I'm about there to be chewing gum.
And I talked to people that had quit, and I was like, I'm gonna do these patches. I want to do this gum. And one of my friends, he's like, "Look, I'm just gonna tell you, the best thing to do is just put them down." And he goes, "After 3 days, you're not gonna want them no more anyway." It took a while because my wife still smoked for a while, and then finally she's like, "Well, I guess you quit." And then she's one of those that just lays them down and doesn't even have to think about them no more. And I'm like, "How do you do that?"
Right. My thing is, it was very much just a hand to mouth habit more than anything. Um, and now it's more like, okay, I don't have that anymore. What am I gonna do? And then sometimes I still have like an itch that you need to scratch. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you, the driving, I would have a toothpick going back and forth.
Yes, the
I would
driving is the worst
I would
part.
probably go through a pack of toothpicks every 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Oh, so around 2015, the industry underwent major transformation.
The release of sleek USB-like devices, especially JUUL, catapulted vaping into mainstream culture.
These new models were discreet, easy to use, and packed a potent nicotine punch through nicotine salts, which delivered faster, smoother absorption. I remember those two.
Yeah, I do too.
Oof.
Then
Those ones made me feel sick.
we're gonna get into a little bit of that at the bottom, but yeah, I mean, so coupled with the kid-friendly flavor options like mango, cream brulee, and cool mint, vaping gained rapid traction among teens and young adults. I remember those times.
hmm Juul's slick advertising, minimal design, and widespread social media presence helped normalize vaping almost overnight.
The product felt less stigmatized than cigarettes. And for the youth, it felt seamlessly into their slick lifestyle and had aesthetic appeal.
Initially, regulatory oversight lagged behind the industry's growth.
But as youth usage surged and health concerns mounted, governments began to respond. And before we get into that, Kat, I say let's take a quick sponsor break.
Hear from the sponsors.
Yes. All right. We'll be back shortly. I guess
And
you.
we're back.
Yeah.
FDA actions, US, introduced minimum age restrictions, labeling requirements, and flavor bans targeting youth appeal. Around this time was also when they upped the age limit to 21.
Uh,
December 2019. Yep.
yep.
Change applies to all states, territories, and the District of Columbia. Yeah, I was working at a gas station then, so I remember that change.
I remember that change
Folks
too.
was mad.
Oh, yes. State level bans. Several states moved independently to ban flavored cartridges and restrict retail sales. I can remember a lot of those vapes were taken off almost overnight in 2019 too.
International response. Countries like Australia, India, and Brazil imposed partial or full bans on e-cigarettes.
Public opinion began to shift as well.
While vaping was once seen as a quit aid for adult smokers, it became a flashpoint in youth addiction debates.
The term epidemic was used in media coverage, and the emergence of vaping related illnesses like eval, uh, is that how you,
EVALI. EVALI?
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 Yeah, we'll go with EVALI. Intensified scrutiny.
More on EVALI when we get to the side effects.
Health organizations call for more research, stronger policy intervention, and educational campaigns to curb underage use.
What's really in vape liquid?
That is probably the $1 million question, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so let's get into it. So, behind the sweet flavors and smooth clouds, vape liquids, also known as e-liquids or vape juice, are made up of four main ingredients, each with its own impact on the body.
So, nicotine, the core addictive ingredient. This powerful stimulant alters brain chemistry and is especially harmful to teens and young adults whose brains are still developing. It can lead to long term dependence and increase the risk of mood disorders and attention problems.
Propylene glycol, or PG, a synthetic liquid that carries flavor and creates the throat hit that many vapors seek. While generally safe to eat, inhaling it, though, is a different story. It may cause throat dryness, coughing, or irritation, and its long term inhalation effects are still unclear.
In any case, vegetable glycerin, or VG, a thick plant based liquid that produces those dense, dramatic clouds, though it seems benign, VG can irritate the airways and may contribute to inflammation over time.
So, the flavorings, right?
Hmm.
With thousands of options from cotton candy to cream brulee. I've said that twice because I love cream brulee. Um, these flavors are a major appeal, but many of these chemicals approved for eating aren't meant to be inhaled. Some, like diacetyl, have been linked to severe lung diseases, including the infamous popcorn lung.
What seems harmless on the surface may carry deeper risks beneath the vapor. Understanding the ingredients is the first step toward making an informed choice.
So the short-term effects, your body reacts fast.
Even occasional vaping sends a shockwave through your system.
Persistent coughing and throat irritation often signal that your lungs are under siege from vaporized chemicals.
Spikes in heart rate and blood pressure aren't just inconvenient, they're warning signs of stress on your cardiovascular system.
Dizziness and nausea can strike within minutes, especially in new users, as nicotine floods the brain and body faster than expected. This is a big deal for new users and even regular users. If they increase the amount of nicotine, it can really have that kind of effect on the body.
Yeah.
But you know what? I
Um,
think for anyone who's thinking about it, I really think you ought to listen to this episode. We're gonna get into the scientific stuff too.
these symptoms might fade, but they're not harmless. They're red flags from a body trying to protect itself against unfamiliar, concentrated substances.
So, Kat, I think here we should really kind of step into what the long-term health risks are. It's the damage that lingers, right?
Yes. Scientific research is still catching up, but the health risks are stacking up.
Lung damage. Inhaling chemicals like diacetyl is used in the flavorings. This has been linked to bronchiolitis obliterans. It's a condition also nicknamed as popcorn lung, and that causes irreversible scarring and airway obstruction. Wow, that sounds kind of scary.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Nicotine addiction and brain development. Adolescents face a dangerous trade off. Continued use rewires the brain, impairing focus, impulse control, and emotional regulation right at a critical stage of growth.
Cardiovascular and respiratory strain. There's studies that show that vaping may trigger inflammation, stiffen arteries, and degrade lung function over time, increasing vulnerability to heart and lung diseases.
EVALI, when vaping turned deadly.
In 2019, vaping crossed the line and it went straight into the emergency rooms.
Vaping associated lung injury, or EVALI, emerged as a national health crisis. Most cases were tied to THC vape products laced with vitamin E acetate, a substance never meant for inhalation.
Victims, many of them young and otherwise healthy, reported difficulty breathing, chest pain, fever, and nausea. Thousands. Man, think about what I just said. Thousands were hospitalized and several died.
The outbreak sparked urgent government action, public awareness campaigns, and a wake up call. Vaping isn't just trendy, it can be lethal when misused or unregulated.
Modern vape products are intentionally engineered to entice youth, and it's marketed that way as well.
hmm Bright, bold packaging mimics the aesthetic of consumer electronics or trendy accessories.
Flavor diversity from watermelon ice to tropical punch caters directly to younger taste preferences, often masking the harshness of nicotine.
Social influence plays a powerful role, especially in peer driven environments like schools or social media.
Vape tricks, portable designs, and influencer endorsements normalize the habit and reinforce its appeal as a status symbol and identity marker.
These elements aren't accidental, they reflect marketing strategies that blur the line between entertainment and addiction.
While vaping is often sold as a safer alternative to cigarettes, some research suggests a different outcome for first-time users.
Adolescents who start with vaping are statistically more likely to try traditional cigarettes later on.
The progression may be driven by nicotine dependence, growing tolerance, or curiosity about stronger substances.
For those who would never have smoked otherwise, vaping may act as a launch pad rather than a shield.
This raises questions about whether vaping reduces harm or simply delays it.
And nicotine doesn't just alter physical health, it can shake mental stability.
Yeah, I mean, think about what nicotine does to the brain. I think it's marketed in a way that targets youth, and I don't know. I am so dead set against that. Like,
It shouldn't be marketed to kids. I mean, it's not a kid product.
no, it is not. And, even though you have to be 21 to buy it, I mean, kids can still get a hold of it.
You have to be 21 to get alcohol, and we all partied. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Chronic use is linked to increased anxiety, irritability, mood swings, particularly in adolescents and young adults.
there's growing concern that vaping may exacerbate existing mental health issues or trigger new ones in vulnerable individuals.
Some researchers suggest that the cycle of addiction, withdrawal, and nicotine replenishment may fuel stress and emotional dysregulation over time.
In trying to calm nerves, users may unknowingly be feeding the very tension they seek to escape.
Unlike cigarette smoke, vape aerosol appears less offensive, but it's not without potential harm.
It contains fine particles, heavy metals, and volatile organic compounds, substances that may pose risks when inhaled by bystanders.
So, you got the smoke and everything, and now you got from regular cigarettes, and then from these vapes, you got heavy metals and particles that really weren't meant to be inhaled to begin with. Like, I don't know, man. This is a double-edged sword.
Right.
Indoor environments like homes, cars, and classrooms may accumulate residual vapor, creating exposure in confined spaces.
Long term studies are still underway, but early findings suggest passive vaping could have health risks similar to secondhand smoke.
So, in other words, secondhand vape.
Right.
The assumption that vape clouds are harmless might be masking a hidden hazard.
The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, plays a central role in regulating vape products as tobacco alternatives.
As the popularity of e-cigarettes surged, especially among teens, FDA implemented several measures to curb use.
Minimum age restrictions. Federal law now prohibits the sale of vaping products to individuals under 21 years of age, with strict verification requirements for retailers.
Yeah, and we talked about when that law was enacted. What was it, December 2019?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now there's mandatory warning labels. Vape packaging must display clear health warnings about nicotine addiction. Messaging is standardized to highlight the product's potential risk.
Flavor bans and limitations. In response to youth use, flavored cartridge based e cigarettes, excluding tobacco and menthol, were banned in 2020. While refillable systems still offer flavors, regulation varies widely at a state level.
The FDA also conducts product reviews to determine if a vape product can be legally marketed in the US, and this is based on public health impact, rejecting hundreds of applications in recent years.
Global governments have adopted a wide range of approaches toward vaping, shaped by their distinct public health goals and societal values.
So, as we like to do things here on the show, we like to figure out what's going on around the world, right?
Hmm.
So I say let's start with Australia. Access to nicotine-based vaping products is tightly controlled, requiring a doctor's prescription, a model that treats vaping more as a medical intervention than a consumer product.
India has taken a firm stance with a complete ban on the production, sale, and promotion of e cigarettes, citing concerns about youth uptake and addiction.
Go India. Conversely, the UK embraces a regulated harm reduction strategy, actively promoting vaping as a tool to help smokers quit, backed by public health agencies. I think it is a tool to help smokers quit, but I think really the concern is keeping it out of the hands of the youth, right?
Right. In Latin America, countries like Brazil and Mexico have either banned or significantly restricted vaping, driven by worries over health risks and the rising appeal among adolescents.
These policies reflect differing attitudes toward addiction, healthcare access, and individual freedoms, highlighting the global complexity of managing a rapidly evolving public health issue.
The core tension lies in how vaping is viewed. Harm reduction advocates argue that e cigarettes are dramatically less dangerous than traditional smoking, offering a bridge for smokers to quit without going cold turkey. Organizations like the Public Health England have endorsed this view.
Public health critics warn that vaping is creating a new generation of nicotine addicts, particularly among teens, with unknown long term consequences. They question the net benefit when vaping becomes a gateway rather than an exit.
Science based policy is still evolving as more longitudinal data becomes available, and the debate remains active, shaped by industry lobbying, public opinion, and ongoing health studies.
Okay, so I kind of get the Australia thing. So e-cigarettes in Australia are by prescription based to be an exit to quit smoking.
Right,
Okay, so I had it all wrong. So, I guess they don't really sell them out. You have to have a prescription to have one. Actually, that makes more sense than any of the rest of the countries.
right,
I think I'm not saying that's the way to go, but I don't know. I mean, that is definitely one way to keep it out of the hands of youth, right?
right.
Vaping may have emerged as a symbol of innovation, hailed for its potential to disrupt the smoking epidemic, but it has quickly spiraled into a multifaceted challenge, touching every corner of public health policy and youth culture.
As sleek devices and sweet flavors captured imaginations, they also ignited addiction, misinformation, and regulatory confusion.
The science is still unfolding, but what we already know demands action. Lung damage, mental health strains, and a new generation of nicotine users are not hypotheticals. They are present realities.
To confront this issue responsibly, we need a united front of transparency, education, and thoughtful regulation.
So, the goal of this show really wasn't to vilify or blindly promote vaping. It was all about empowering decisions, being informed in an age where health should really never take a back seat, right? I found this to be very fascinating. There was a lot of things that I didn't know. There was some things that I did know but wasn't really sure about. And it really this episode here is really the basis of the show being curious.
It is. I mean, there's nothing in this episode that I didn't know. Like none of this was shocking to me. None of it was like, oh no, not lung damage. Okay. um Now I do have to say that using it as a form of quitting is an option. I wouldn't say that it's the best option, but it is an option. I have my friend's dad who had cancer in his leg. He had a tumor removed. And his doctor told him to try to switch to vaping versus cigarettes to at least help his healing process a little better because everything else in cigarettes was going to, constrict the blood vessels. You know, nicotine's going to do that anyway, let alone all the other crap that's in cigarettes by themselves.
Yeah. I think we done one on vaping. I think we should do one on cigarettes and how smoke affects the body. And then we can kind of come back to this and kind of say, hey, this is the this and this is the that.
Right. And do a comparison. I think that's only fair at this point
Yeah.
because we don't want to it's not really a demonization thing as we're not trying to do. It's just
No. I think if you're an adult, you can make an informed decision on what you want to do with your life, right?
right, your body, your choice. But
Absolutely. You're
we're just
20, go buy it. But where I have a concern is where we're trying to market to our children and trying to put it in the hands of our youth, our teens, because it looks cool on this or it looks cool on that. You know,
and so does it. Right.
yeah, I don't think we should glorify it. I think we should, you know, for me personally, it's more about being informed and making a decision. And I just don't think at those ages, high school level age, college age, yeah, people are experimenting with all kind of stuff. Uh, and I'm not going to demonize that or vilify that either. I'm just saying we need to be more mindful about how we're projecting this for our youth.
Right.
Anyway, I'll get off my high horse.
Nay. Oh, if you would like to support this podcast, tell a friend and help get the word out.
Yeah, if you would like to help support the show, you can do so at Patreon. The link is in the show notes.
William and I want to thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you.
Join the Facebook group at Info on the Go
Share with us your show ideas.
or ask us a question.
Subscribe and follow us wherever you get your podcast.
Send us a text using the link in the show notes or leave a review.
And that review will help someone else find the show, so please do it. You can email us at
infoonthegopodcast@gmail.com.
yes, that is all one word. Till next time.
Stay curious.